Remote leadership is now a C-suite level position. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why you as a conscious leader will probably want to include a head of remote as part of your team moving forward. So I recently came across an article by Darren Murph, who is the head of remote at GitHub. And he made a very compelling case for why every single company moving forward should have a position just like his, head of remote. And I'm going to quote him now. His quote says, "The smartest, most transparent, and most progressive companies transitioning to remote will hire an executive to lead their journey in the next 1 to 2 years. This hire, or lack thereof, will be a litmus test to job seekers who expect remote work to be supported, not just allowed." I couldn't agree more with Murph. I totally think this is the future of work, where we're headed, and it's going to signal to employees how much you respect them, work flexibility, and remote work by who you hire and how you build out your team. And even before the 2020 pandemic, there was no doubt that the future of work means more increasing remote workforce and work flexibility. So whether it's a hybrid or fully remote team, every company needs to figure out how to transition their team to being more remote long term. At some point during this pandemic that we're experiencing right now, offices are going to start reopening. People are going to start meeting again. But the essential difference here is that the people who start meeting, you and I, we're fundamentally different now. The way we view work has changed. Old expectations and myths about work have been shattered. We now know that having a remote team or working from home is something that we can do, and it's not going to hurt our productivity. There are some things that we do need to figure out moving forward. And we're going to talk about those moving forward, about how to build strong remote teams now that we know that productivity-wise, we can do this. Over the last few months, a lot of leaders have been just treading water with their suddenly remote teams. But now they're looking for those more long-term solutions that are going to empower them to thrive and perhaps even accelerate the way that they collaborate, their productivity, and even replicate the success that they've had when they were in a co-located office. They're looking for those kind of solutions. But what we're experiencing right now in how we work is a sea change. It's a flexion point. It's a new chapter in how we work. Things are different now. We've got to recognize that and address it. And it's an exciting opportunity now to see where we can move forward. Positions that didn't even exist before now are suddenly now being created, like head of remote. That wasn't really something that was widely known until now. But just think about how things changed before and after the internet. Before the internet, we didn't have things like a digital marketing director or an IT staffer who would oversee miles of servers in an office. But now those positions are considered commonplace and even essential to how we work. So we really are at a turning point. I mean, the same goes for remote leadership and remote teams. Those are things we hadn't really thought about before, but now we're seeing them and we're figuring out, okay, how does this work now? Now that we have a digital marketing director, how does that work? Now that we have a head of digital or a head of remote, how does this work? So we really are at a turning point where we're going to see these roles in companies and organizations all around the world. You're going to see more of these remote type leadership positions, or chief well-being officer, which I addressed in a previous video. So as a conscious leadership coach, my vision for this new role of head of remote, or whatever the title of that position may be in your organization, my vision for that is that it incorporates conscious leadership qualities into that position. And that means truly advocating for remote employees' well-being, helping career development and professional growth. And those are all things that in the past, perhaps we have delegated them to an HR professional down the hallway in a co-located office. But now we need to think about ways to integrate that into everything that we're doing. And so I hope that as companies are hiring a head of remote or considering a chief well-being officer, they're considering all of these different things that incorporate conscious leadership concepts. If you're struggling with this transition, I encourage you to read Murph's article. I link to it in my newsletter, which you can go check out at meredithattorney.substack.com. In the article, Murph mentions 17 questions every leader needs to be asking themselves about how to navigate the transition to long-term remote team success. And they are very important questions. I hope you will go read through them and answer them yourself. Again, you can go to meredithattorney.substack.com and check out those questions, or you can always email me, meredithattorney, or meredith@meredithattorney.com, and I can certainly share with you those questions. I think they're really important. These questions and moving forward, it's all going to require expertise, innovation, creativity, and patience. And these are all things that we're going to have to learn and grow through. It's going to require some failing and iterating, and being okay with that as we move forward. This really is going to be a full-time job for companies who want to get this right and perhaps even be seen as industry leaders in how to nurture a thriving remote workplace. So if you're ready to talk about this, let's connect. Like I said, you can go to my newsletter, meredithattorney.substack.com, or you can go to my website, meredithattorney.com, and we can talk about how you can become a conscious leader who builds out a thriving remote team long term, not just through the end of this pandemic or the next 6 months, but long term, so you can attract amazing talent to your team, really set yourself apart, and honestly, it is the future of work. So the better that you get at this now, you're just going to be an innovative leader heading into the future. So this really is a golden opportunity to create a head of remote position in your organization. And it's going to ensure that your team not only survives, but thrives into the future of work, which is what I'm all about, is helping you have that key to success. And in the meantime, I really hope that you will work happy, live happy, be happy. Bye.